Nobody likes an out of control child. Absolutely nobody. And here's the thing, parenting is hard. And kids, sometimes they're out of control. But in adoptive homes, it's a totally different thing. I think you might know what I'm talking about. I'm Brooke Fremouw. I'm an adoptive mom to 11 kids. I'm a certified trauma support specialist, and I am the director, founder, and developer of Journey University for Adoptive Families. And I want to talk to you today about your kids being out of control. What does that mean? It means they don't surrender to your authority. Sum it up. They don't want to surrender to your authority. And this is the number one problem for adoptive parents. Why? Kids that are traumatized or kids that have adoption trauma, if you're not familiar with what adoption trauma is, it's the trauma that comes from children losing that maternal bond that they have from in utero attachment to their biological mom. So whether you've gotten your child at birth or whether you've gotten your child post-birth and they've been exposed to life traumas on top of adoption trauma is real. And what ends up happening is that these kids feel like, man, if the one person in this world that I was supposed to be able to lean into and trust for everything, to meet my needs, to be there for me, if that person lets me down, like, how could I ever trust anybody else? They make conscious decisions to say, hey, listen, I am not going to trust that my environment is safe. I am not going to trust that these parents are safe. And then on a subconscious level, they have body chemistry and a lens in which they view the world that reinforces that message that they need to be in control in order to be safe and to get their needs met. Now, you and I both know if you've had a child that came from a painful, unsafe, neglectful, abusive environment and then put them into your home, which was a stable, loving, nurturing environment, a lot of us parents, we expect that, hey, listen, we took away all of that environment. So when we put the child here and we give them the love, stability, support, we meet all of their needs proactively and reactively, that child is going to be able to sit in that and find their own peace and begin to thrive within that more neutralized, controlled environment. Here's the thing. That is not all that it takes. And so I know for me, the first time that I had brought a tween into my house, the tween brought the crazy with her, right? And at first she was like, wow, I get to have more than one pair of shoes. Wow, look, I have a bedroom with a bed and dressers. And we went to the store and we bought clothes and she had clothes to choose that she was proud to wear. I got her hygiene products and it was like, oh, I have conditioner for my hair. I feel so pretty. But that newness wears off very quickly. And before long, she's like, wait a minute. You see, what happens is our body gives us a fight or flight instinct. And that is for anybody that's in a stressful environment. So you take that and you put that onto a little kid and they become stuck in fight, flight, or freeze. And what happens is their body chemistry changes. The chemicals that are in their brain change in order that they will be able to survive the environment in the most efficient way possible. Do you know how long it takes to digest out the chemicals that go into our bodies and brains? The endorphins, cortisols, adrenalines. How long it takes to flush those out of your system if you're not re-triggered? Any idea? We're looking at a minimum of 72 hours. If you're a non-traumatized person and you experience something really horrific, like when my daughter's head got stuck in a gate and her forehead literally got peeled off by an electric gate. I'm telling you, the doctors told me she was fine. Her eye wasn't damaged, her brain wasn't damaged, no crack in her skull. She was going to be okay. I wasn't okay. Do you hear me? I wasn't okay. I couldn't fall asleep. I couldn't quit crying. My dog keeps itching himself. I'm so sorry. Pansy! Bubba's! Sorry about that. Yeah, I wasn't okay. I couldn't sleep. And I found myself just crying and saying, oh my gosh, we were so close. What if? What if? This is so upsetting. I couldn't get it out of my body. 72 hours, guys, that it takes to metabolize that stuff out. And that's if you don't get re-triggered. But our little kids, they were getting re-triggered over and over and over again. And so the body said, why am I even trying to metabolize this out of my system? Why waste that? That is inefficient. And my body is going to need to survive the next drunk thing that my parent is doing. The next scream, the next spank, the next hunger episode, whatever it was for your specific child, right? And so they don't metabolize that out, and it changes their brain and it changes their body chemistry. And then you pick them up, move them into your home, but their body chemistry has not changed. And all the love in the world doesn't support changing that body chemistry. You can pray over them, you can love them, and certainly do that because they need that. They need that. But if you're doing that and your child is out of control, punching, kicking, screaming, intentionally urinating, intentionally pooing, spreading it on the wall, fighting, or the other end of it, your child is just withdrawn and hides and won't speak to you. And they dig their heels in a very prideful way, not a broken way, but a very prideful way of like, you don't deserve to know how I feel. You don't deserve to know what's going on in my head and my body, and I'm not going to do what you ask me to do. I'm not even going to look at you. I'm not even going to speak to you. That's the extreme side of the internal flight, the internal freeze. And so here's what happened for me. I parented my child from a place of love and structure and boundaries and expectations, and I was very clear on all of that. And my child was failing. And my kiddo was in therapies. We were in family therapy. The child was being medicated prior to even coming to me, right? But then certainly still, because we still had just out of control, crazy behavior happening. And I thought, what in the world can I do? My child is out of control. 1 minute, she's like a black hole, sucking every ounce of energy that I have and trying to control what I'm doing even. And needing more affection, but the affection not filling her up. And then the very next minute, she's so mad. And she's slamming things and picking things and breaking things and saying the most horrific words that a tween, I didn't even know they could have a vocabulary like that. Can you relate to either end of that? And if you can, here's what I've learned. Let me share it with you. What I have learned is that body regulation has to be at the center of everything a trauma-exposed home does. Body regulation. And it's one thing, I built off of my nursing education and I went into trauma-informed care. And as I'm sitting in these classes, I'm like, great, body regulation. How? How do I take a kid that's completely out of control and demand that they calm down? Have you ever been with your spouse and you are so mad and you feel like they just don't understand the depth of your hurt and they come up behind you and they're like, it's going to be okay, honey. Yeah, right. It doesn't go well. It doesn't go well at all. You kind of want to punch them in their teeth, right? Like, you're not hearing me. Your kids are no different, except they even have less maturity and stability than you have. And even we don't deal well when we're not regulated. So how do we get a kid to be like, oh, you need to just choose to breathe? You know, the kid's like, I'm not going to breathe. I'm going to punch you in the face. They're seizing from within everything that they have to try and fight their need to love you and attach because it's too scary. They're afraid to let somebody else have the power in their world to hurt them again, emotionally, physically, or otherwise. So systems. It all comes down to systems because here's the truth. When your child is traumatized, they are traumatizing you, and now you also are traumatized. I was traumatized by my trauma kid, right? And so the whole entire house needs tools and systems so that they can default in to a way in which to remove themselves from triggers, process through, and then resolve, right? We've got to rescue, recover, and resolve. Those are my 3 R's that I teach. Rescue, recover, resolve. And so here's the thing. You've got to be able to get your kids to buy into the systems. So not only do we have to have systems and tools, we have to have something known as pivots. Pivots are when your child is so intelligently capable because they are survivors at their core that what works for a little bit then doesn't work. And so you have to tweak it a little. And I call those pivots. So we have to pivot around those, especially as your children go into new developmental stages. You've got to pivot as they change. And so you do those things, and you also have to incentivize participation, because the reality is that they don't know how to sit in a body that is neutral. They don't know how to feel comfortable without the chemical discharges in their body because they have not experienced it. And so for them to get to a place where they're willing to experience it long enough that it actually feels good and they get the results that reinforce that kind of behavior and thinking, that body state, it's a journey. It's a journey. So hopefully you're understanding at least why your kid is out of control, and you're getting an idea of like, hey, if we're speaking to behaviors all day long and just giving them consequences for behaviors all day long, it will not work. It's not going to work. I have tons of both academic and practical experience and experience as a private practitioner. It doesn't work. You can't speak to the behaviors. And yet, if you don't have systems in place to redirect them to their body state versus their behavior, you're fighting an uphill battle, which is why I have created Journey University. I hope that you're subscribing. Click subscribe. I hope that you're able to hop onto my website at thetraumamama.com and check out a little more about what Journey University is. I've got tons of videos here with a bunch of information about why your family works the way that it works and how to overcome it. So make sure you're following me. My next YouTube video that's coming up is actually about those kids that have pee and poo problems, right? It's a struggle. It's a struggle, but you're not in the struggle alone. Join the university, find your tribe, allow us to come alongside you and change your family from chaos to peace. Thanks for your time and attention. God bless you. Have a great day.